Welcome, everyone. This is Key Punching University. Jim Gonsoulin. I'm very happy to be hosting this Zoom tonight. We're very privileged to have Mr. Doug Farrar on with us tonight. And I want to let you know that this call and this Zoom has been going on for over 30 years. Doug and Sharon are one of what we call the power couples in our business. You'll hear more from Doug's side of it. Sharon's actually spending some time with family today, so I'm sure she'll be joining us later. We've been doing this now for over 30 years. And we get together every Monday night to share some information that'll hopefully inspire you to make a decision for yourself, whether it's for your health or possibly to join us as a team member. You'll hear more about that tonight. I want to share a little bit about Doug and his background. He and I met a couple of years ago, and I've watched his progress in the business. I was very entertained by his NMD speech. He was very animated about what he shared. You hear more about that tonight. Got a very interesting background. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida with his wife, Sharon. They have 3 children, and he now gets to enjoy a lot more time with those kids than he did in the past. Got a background in education, spent 25 plus years in education. You see the drum behind him and the organ. He's a musician and was a band director. He'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. He also got into administration, middle school, high school, and he even started a program at the college level. He had an opportunity to really work with Sharon. His wife, Sharon, is also a national marketing director. She's a 50 Club presidential marketing director, and they've been involved in the business together for a long time. Doug, welcome to our Zoom tonight.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you being with us. And if you will, share a little bit more about your background if you want to share some more. Can you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, my background is in the education field. You know, I went to college right up here in North Florida, Florida State University, where I met my beautiful wife, Sharon. And we moved down to South Florida, and that's where I'm from originally. And she's from New Smyrna Beach near Daytona. But we spent most of our lives down in South Florida. And, you know, we were both working in the same school, actually. In fact, we worked in a school, actually, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I was band director. Sharon was the guidance counselor. Joel Herbst was the assistant principal, and Julie Herbst was the TV production teacher. So one of at our baby dedication, that's where we found out about Juice Plus. I think we'll get into that a little bit later, but we were all working together. I love being a band director, but you know, it just wasn't really paying the bills, you know. So I went back to school, got a master's degree in curriculum and educational leadership. And then I went into administration in the public school system in South Florida.
Very interesting. So you and Sharon have known Julie and Joel for quite some time in 2 different professions almost, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I met Joel in the 4th grade, so I got a lot of good stories about him. So we went through school together. We roomed together at Florida State. We've worked together. In fact, my first administration job, my assistant principal job, was when he got his first principal job. He called me up and said, "Hey, buddy, I got the job. I'm becoming a principal. I need you to come." And I'm like, "Okay." And I resigned from my band director position, and I went and joined with him. And the rest was kind of history. And after that, I went from being a public school administrator. I had an opportunity to start a college program for training worship leaders and church musicians. It's turned into a thing called Ocean's Edge University, and it's been very successful.
That's awesome. Well, tell us, you mentioned about learning about Juice Plus. When did you hear about it, and why did you decide to make it part of your routine?
Well, that was about 25 years ago, believe it or not. And we were we had a baby dedication ceremony at church, and we went out to lunch afterward. And Julie Herbst was there. And while we were leaving, I think she slipped like a cassette tape into Sharon's diaper bag or something. And then we were driving home in the car, and Sharon's like, "What is this?" There's a cassette tape. It's something like, "You're not too fat. You're just not tall enough," or something like that. And so we called her up, and Julie shared Juice Plus with Sharon. And, you know, we trusted her, and she recommended it. So, you know, we just started taking it. And you know, I mean, Julie has credibility, but the reason we knew that had credibility because she shared the research with us, and she shared some facts about it. And so we just started taking it way back 25 years ago.
That's awesome. So Doug, you know, we don't make any claims. You talked about the research, but tell us about your and Sharon's experience and maybe your children. What's been your experience with Juice Plus so far?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty incredible. I know we don't make claims, but here's the thing. I used to get sick a lot. I was really tired. I used to get like a sinus infection where I'd be down in bed for like a week. Sometimes twice a year I would get that. I just don't get that anymore. And it's not just the product, it's the community. Like you mentioned the community when we were coming on here. It's this healthy community, people that are passionate about getting healthier and learning new hacks and how to get healthy. And I feel like that really set me up well because you see, I have a family history of heart disease, and it finally caught up with me. I was making some pretty good changes over the years, but I guess it wasn't enough. It's tough to outrun the family history. So I ended up having some cardiac issues, and I was able to, again, leaning on this community, talking to some of the doctors in our community, I was able to make a complete U-turn and change things and completely just really do all the right things. And my cholesterol has gone from 240 to 125, and I'm feeling good. My cardiologists are extremely happy. So I really give Juice Plus and the community really the credit for setting me up for that kind of success, not only with our products, but just learning the things inside of my head and having the support to be able to make those changes.
That's awesome. And you have that experience and knowing, like you said, you've got a community you can rely on. What's that like for you as an educator to have that resource available to you?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, especially nowadays, I can't imagine being an educator nowadays because there's so much misinformation out there. The beauty of the internet and the way we can communicate now is that we can get all this information. The problem is it's hard to verify that information. And the Juice Plus community just has so many credible professionals and people within it that you're able to get that info from. And then of course there's the products where we don't just rely on testimonials and like stories of this and that. I mean, I can tell you what my experience was, but if you're looking at Juice Plus, you need to go to the website and look at the research. It's overwhelming. It's irrefutable what this stuff does. So there's no reason to make claims because we can go to the website and see what science actually says it does. And I think as an educator, that just really gives me confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a phrase, documentation beats conversation. I think that's
absolutely
right.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, I know you and Sharon are big Tower Garden fans. I saw some pictures on your Facebook page. Tell us how you got interested in Tower Garden and how do you guys include it in your business?
Oh man, I love the Tower Garden. I mean, I'm kind of a nerd about stuff. I love tinkering. I love just I love music. I love learning piano. I love playing chess. I bought an old beat up Porsche recently so I could just tinker and work on it and get under it and fix things. And not that you have to do much with the Tower Garden. The Tower Garden's kind of like playing the guitar. Everybody knows a guitar player. It's easy to get kind of bad at the guitar or just good enough. Tower Garden's like that. You can just set it up and it kind of works. I mean, there's nobody that's really you got to try hard to not be successful with the Tower Garden. But if you want to tinker with it and kind of go down the rabbit hole of just really working on different strains of types of plants and things like that, that's what I love about it. It's just so good. And we set up a lot of Tower Gardens, not only in for friends, but in our community and around town. And I just love it. I mean, it's so fun to see people that have never really had experience growing before just having massive success growing their food. And it's just another way to encourage healthy living. I know it does that for us so much. I love it.
Yeah, given that that's our mission statement, inspiring healthy living around the world, pretty good match. We've had it now for about 10 or 12 years. I know we've had fun with ours. Sandra and I have two of them in the house. Doug, let's talk for a minute about your and Sharon's partnership. What's it been like for you to help her to build her position? And then now that you've made that commitment yourself, what's it like to be part of that power couple label that we talk about?
It's pretty cool. I was always supportive. My journey kind of went from in the beginning, like she started doing this business with Julie. And I remember I didn't find this out till years later, but we had our second child and the Herps had their first child. and both of the girls were home kind of on maternity leave and doing a little bit of Juice Plus. And Julie had said to Sharon, what if we tried to do this as a business? It's kind of funny hearing these two ladies, now that they would say something like wondering that because they're both so successful. But it started off like that. And I was always supportive. I was like, yeah, that's fine, and then she started doing it. But, she worked really hard. She really treated it like a business and was very consistent. So she went from, starting out to making 500 a month to making 1,000, making the house payment, and just continued to grow and grow and grow. And I went from kind of like, just being supportive, like anything, if you love somebody, if they want to do something, you're rooting them on, right? And then, but as it grew, I kind of got more and more interested, especially after she bought me a Mustang GT. That really turned my head. I think she was manipulating me with that one, and it worked. But I also just have this love of leadership and mentoring and teaching from being in, that's what my profession always was. And as our team grew and as we started doing more presentations and things like that, I just found it natural to gravitate toward the business more and more and more. And it finally got to a point where as her business, I had the business early on too, but then at some point I think she fired me or something because then I didn't have a business. I wasn't worried about all that. I was just worried about helping out and working together. But then I was back in and it kept growing. But eventually I started coming home from after like 20 something years working the 9 to 5. I would come home and she's still in her pajamas and she's out earning me. And it's like, I gotta get with the program here. So I just really started getting intentional. And, a few life things happened. My dad passed away. Another close friend of mine just suddenly passed away. And it makes you think, like, what is life really about? And especially as guys, I think a lot of us are like so busy, like climbing that mountain at work. Meanwhile, back at base camp, we're leaving the family behind. And it's just an isolated time. It's fulfilling and stuff, but so is doing a business at home and doing it together as a couple. So this has been a way better option to just continue to build something and have fun investing in people and investing in my kids instead of other people's kids, and investing into our future. And it's just been amazing. So about 7 years ago, I decided, to throw in the towel in the 9 to 5. We kind of built things up to a point where it made sense. And then, I started going full time. I was a QNMD at the time. I went to Q school, this training they have in Memphis from the company. And that's what I didn't really realize how big of a power couple. She was how big of a dog she was until we're touring the building with all the other Q school people. And we're doing a tour and the other people in my class were like, hey, Doug, your name's on the wall. And I look over because, they list NMDs with the spouse on the wall in the main office. And Sharon had gotten her name up on the wall there as one of the prominent people in the company. So that was pretty cool. But so I've always strived to kind of work and fulfill that honor of being a part of this power couple. And, I'm still learning and, it's hard to catch up. She had like a good head start on me. But hopefully someday I'll pass her up. Maybe my check will get bigger.
That's all right. I'm sure she won't mind that at all.
No, she'll be all right.
That's awesome. Doug, talk about, if you will, would you share with us what it's been like for you now that you've been in the business 7 years and you've reached the position of international marketing director? And let's hear the truth. Any struggles, any challenges you face getting to that point, or what's it been like for you and Sharon to build that second position?
Well, I think for me, the most challenging part of this, there's a lot of team members and people that I talk to that are, they think about, they also often say, I wish I could do this full time, or I'm trying to build up to the point where I can do it full time. Being your own boss, especially, I don't know if it's just me or if this is everybody's experience, but I was an education system guy, a public school worker. They told me when my days off were, they told me what time I had to be there, what time I had to finish up. As a school band director, you got football games on Friday night and you have to put your product out on the field and either be humiliated or proud of it. So there's always this motivation and this pressure or rules that force you into, working a certain way. To be your own boss, I found it a very difficult challenge because I never understood it. Guy Debo, another a prominent NMD in our company, told me once, I said, Guy, we want to go from 50 club to 100 club. What is one tip you can give me? And he said, time management. And he like walked away. And I was like, what kind of an answer is that? That doesn't help me at all. It took me years to understand that the problem is time management, is learning how to really time block, manage your time, keep punching. I mean, looking at Carrie and seeing like keep punching. I mean, that's the key, is staying in line and just keep on keeping on no matter what. So being your own boss, you want to be the kind of boss for you that you would that you would want to be for somebody else. You want to encourage them, but it sure is nice being able to have a day off whenever you want, or take a nap in the middle of the day, or wake up at 4:30 in the morning when you can't sleep and work then. I love all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's been a real transition, but you welcome it now, and you see the success from being an entrepreneur.
Oh, it's the best thing. I mean, I wish I would have got the vision a lot sooner. I think we would have been further along, but at the same time, I have no regrets, because I had an amazing career. I've met amazing, people, and it's all been good. It's just, I'm a little jealous that Sharon had about, another 15 years of, this amazing lifestyle than I did.
Well, now thankfully you're joining us. I know she's happy about that.
Oh yeah, on most days.
On
On
most
most days.
and the good thing is she could fire you, but you still have a position because you have your own, right?
That's true. That's
awesome.
true.
Doug, we talk about timing a lot, and we've been talking about this in our last few Zooms. Men are at a kind of a minority in our business. What do you think the opportunity is for men right now, in particular with what you shared? What do you think the opportunity is for men right now in our business and with our product?
Well, I mean, it's just wide open. There is no logical reason why there would be less of an opportunity for men in this business. And I don't think it's the fact that there's 90% women and 10% men has nothing to do with like, this is a better opportunity or a better fit for women or whatnot. I mean, in fact, when you look at, many, many years ago, I think Carrie may have been around for back in the water filter days and stuff like that. There were a lot more men in the business then. I think there's something about it being a nutritional product when we made that switch. A lot of times in households, women tend to make those types of decisions in a family. But the bottom line is this. This is a product, and there's billions of people out there with trillions and trillions of dollars, and they're just waiting to spend it. And there's millions and millions of people that need better health. I mean, so it's just a business. It just happens to be a great business. It's a great business model. It works. You can see the people that really work it, it really works. The company has been around. It's stable and lasting. The products are proven. The entry fee is only $52 a year to have a franchise in a nearly $1 billion company in a $1 trillion industry. I mean, it just makes good business sense. So I always put it this way. I try to invite as many men as I can into the business, but at the same time, I'm running a business. So I'm inviting anybody who could want to work this business to be a part of it. And if that happens to be women joining, that's great. But I do think that in my experience, men seem to be a little bit slower learners and a little more skeptical. So I just think it's a matter of the opportunity is there. I just think the timing is right. I mean, especially we have a new CEO, a lot of excitement. I'm very excited about our CEO and some of the changes I've been seeing. And it just feels like there's a great energy. And I think moving forward, more and more men, I do think we will be seeing them join the business. Yeah. And one more anecdote is I do notice from the outside looking in, because when I first came in, I wondered like, is this like for ladies or what's the deal? But I've always loved working, and I've always hired lots of ladies. So I don't mind. I love ladies. Bring on the ladies. But I noticed that a lot of the high up, the very successful leaders in the company, does seem to be a higher percentage of men in that group than in just the entire company. So that encouraged me coming along, seeing guys like you and Carrie and Danny and others like that, just realizing that, hey, those are guys, I want to be more like those guys. And I strive to do that.
And Doug, it's good you mentioned that, because we all started in the water and air business, and when Juice Plus came out, there was a big shift in the population of people that are part of our company. You talked about the opportunity for men, and you mentioned about Travis, our new CEO, who's got a world of experience in this industry, and he's very exciting to see what he's doing. Why do you think there's such a unique time right now in our business for really anybody, not just men, but for anybody?
Well, I just think this is, I was just talking on our team call last night about this. There's been there's growing pains that companies go through, and it's kind of a life cycle of a business. See, our company has been around for a long time, and I know some of the people on this call have been doing this a long time. And it was kind of like, if you look at the way our company started, it was like a group of buddies that just kind of started off a distribution company, and they're like friends. And man, it was, I feel bad for the newer partners that didn't get to know that group of friends, because it was just amazing to be around those guys. But as our company grew, as it became a global company, and then at some point it was kind of separate in the different countries, and then as we try to bring it together into a global brand, um, my goodness, the internet has come about since the company has been around. And then there was COVID. And I mean, there's just so much change that has gone on. I just think the timing is right, as our company has modernized, something that us and that are partners have asked for quite a while. We've looked on and maybe felt some frustration. Now we're in this point where they've been making these changes. We're updating our technology. We're updating even just understanding marketing and how we market in a more modern age, using social media better, and just onboarding of new partners, and the technical things, the computer stuff and all that. It's all just coming together. Combine that with great vision, not only from the US or the global CEO, but also you see it in some of the European leaders having input into what we do in the US, as far as leadership and coaching some great guys. I love it. And so for me, it just feels like there's this energy that's built up. And I think the only thing honestly holding us back right now, that we're just kind of waiting for it to break through, is the economy. A little stronger economy, and we're going to see even bigger growth happening. And we're back to seeing growth in our business. But I know that we're poised. Like what's driving me right now is getting ready for when that economy changes. Because we do, and when you're in this type of a business, you see it go up and down, up and down. Like after 2008, those were great years once that recession passed. And then it's like unbelievable, the growth, and here we are in that same situation where we're going to see it happen again. And I just think now's the time to really get involved with the company, start building a team, and just positioning yourself to be ready for that growth.
Right. That's awesome.
And of course, as you do that, you're going to see growth immediately, but you'll see even more later on.
Right. All the tools are in place right now, and all the systems are in place to really take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Doug, you and Sharon work the business together. If you would you share with us a couple of tips about building a business? You're doing it as a couple, which is pretty unique, but share some tips about maybe a couple of areas that you would suggest to anybody who's interested in building a business.
Yeah, I'll give one tip for couples, and then I have two tips for everybody. The first tip as a couple, this came from Wendy Campbell. When I first came home to work the business, I just worked it like I worked every other job. I kind of closed my office door. I didn't want to talk to Sharon. I get out some spreadsheets and notepads. I got legal pads and Post-its everywhere, and I'm brainstorming how we're going to do this thing. And it's like, it took me a while to get frustrated and realize that, first of all, I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. There's people like you guys that have come along years before me and have already figured out the system. All you got to do is plug into the system. So, but the thing we did learn, and we've gotten really good at, is that each person, I mean, there's a tremendous advantage to being a quote power couple, because you have multiple people working on the business, but everybody brings something different to the table. I have my strengths, she has her strengths. She has, to be honest with you, she doesn't love coming on a Zoom like this. I mean, it didn't take a whole lot for her to wiggle out of this, did she? But I love this kind of stuff, and I'll do trainings all the time. You know what I mean? But she's more of like a dial and smile. She loves being on the phone and on the phone all day long. Whereas I'm more of a spreadsheet behind the scenes, identifying people that maybe she should reach out to, team members that we got something new going on over here and stuff like that. So I think dividing and conquering is really a great tip for couples. And that includes not only the business, but the home, like laundry, dinners, upkeep of the home and the yard and things like that. It's just all for Wendy Campbell said this whole thing is just the Farrar company. And that includes childcare and education and laundry, and you name it. So, and that's the way we approach it now. And it's really fun to work it that way. My two other tips for everybody in this business. Number one is your mindset. You have to approach this. I see this so much. There's so many people that want to raise their check and they want to be successful, but they're not thinking like a business. Okay, this is a business. I realize a lot of people come into this business because they love the product so much that they can't help but share it. And next thing you know, they're sharing it with a few people. And then next thing you know, so then they join, but they're still just thinking about, oh, I love the products. I love the products. And of course I love the products too. But McDonald's, I mean, that's probably not the best example, but let's say McDonald's or Starbucks or whoever, Panera Bread, they don't get to where they are just because they like hamburgers. They get to where they are because they're strategically planning and thinking about, as Grant Cardone would say, who's got my money? That's what he says. It's just, and it's not in a bad way. It's just, where are the customers? Who's going to join our team? What is the typical type of person that joins our team? Let's talk to more of those kinds of people, and just thinking like a business and being strategic in your approach. And then the same way works, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, the next tip would be to work it. So you have your mindset, but then you have your work ethic. You have to work it like a business. I see a lot of people, and I think there's been some misleading things that have been said about not only our company, but maybe other companies within this business model, where, we used to say things like, whoa, it's part-time magic, and it's da-da-da. And then it's like, listen, it's part-time magic if you want to make part-time money. And I'll tell you this, I used to work as a high school assistant principal. I would get there at 6:30 and I didn't get home till 7 at night. There's not many days where I have to work that hard in Juice Plus. It's very, very rare. But you can't just not work. You have to decide what you want, and then you go after it. And again, I see Kerry Daigle next to you. He's whether he knows it or not, he's been like a mentor to me. And I know his background in the boxing world and promoting and all that stuff. Like, how are you going to get people to a fight? Are you going to just do one Facebook post, or are you going to do 10,000 Facebook posts? Let's do 10,000. Why would you stop there? I use the analogy all the time. Like, if Jim and I make a pizza shop and we're opening up this restaurant, we're not going to have like a thing where it says, well, Jim, I think today we'll make 10 pizzas. Why would we limit it to 10 pizzas? Let's make as many pizzas as we can. Let's get as much customers as we can. Let's market to the neighborhood. Okay, we're already there. Let's go on TV and radio. Hey, it's Doug and Jim, the pizza guys. Come on down. We got a sale today. It's like, let's hustle and make it happen, because it does require effort and work. And I'll close by saying, close that question by saying, like Dave Ramsey says about finances. When you're doing that financial peace stuff, he'll say, if you want to live like nobody else, you got to live like nobody else. So the same thing in network marketing. You're going to have some phases you go through. And I'll use Sharon as an example. When she was pushing for 50 Club, she was I wasn't really in the business as much back then. All I knew is when I started walking by her for a few days, and on the third day, I was like, have you taken a shower? And she hadn't showered for 3 days. She was just on the phone all the time, just calling. But you know what? She made that promotion. And then now people look on and say, oh, Sharon and Doug, oh, they work together. Oh, they're playing pickleball again. Don't you guys work? I'm working right now. This is the hardest thing I had to do today. But to get to this point, you got to put in that sweat equity. And without it, it's just a dream. It's not going to happen. So, and I don't mean to discourage anybody. I mean, to me, that excites me even more. It makes me want to go do more because in most jobs, you can work, how there's people that put in the extra hours and they stay after on a salaried position. They're not even going to get anything extra from it. They're just doing it because they're enjoying it. But at least in this, as you do extra, you are going to get more from it. You're going to have more money coming in. But also, I'm looking at people on here. I see Jeannie Williams and others. It's like you're going to have relationships like that. Lee Williams. I mean, I get to be friends with Lee Williams. Are you kidding me? These are men of great integrity, and these are relationships you build in this business by meeting more people and just working your way up. So I would say having the right mindset and having the right work ethic will get you there.
Great tips and great experience you're sharing with us, Doug. I like what you said. You work hard, but guess what? Would it be accurate to say you choose your own hours to work hard?
Oh, absolutely. I like getting up early. I get like my office work done early, and then we like to go play pickleball or go to the gym, or I like to cook some healthy food, work on the tower garden. I mean, it's great. And I've gotten in the habit of taking naps. And at first I felt bad about it. Now it's nap time, baby. Let's go. I love it.
I love it, buddy. Thank you. Listen, in closing, what would be a couple of suggestions for somebody that may be looking at either Juice Plus or our business for the first time?
Yeah, this is not smoke and mirrors we're blowing here. This is legit. It's a great company. I mean, what do you look for in a business? The cost, $52 a year, no brainer. A 50-year-old company with a 30-year-old product, successful, no brainer. Research behind the product. You can't find, I mean, some of the biggest names in the world. You look for research on Centrum or something. All you're going to find is like the research studies where they had to stop the research because they were afraid it was hurting people. Support systems are in place. I mean, it's an absolute no-brainer. My only regret is that I didn't open my eyes sooner and just take more advantage. I mean, sometimes in life you just stumble into things, which is how I feel about this. Thankful that Jeannie Williams told Amy Getz, Amy told Julie, and then we heard from Julie. And now here we are. What a beautiful thing you can pass on to friends. Because Jeannie opened her mouth, I get to live a life that my friend, they can't even comprehend how good it is. They don't believe you sometimes, but it's legit. So I would say go for it. Whether you want to do a little bit or a lot, you'll be accepted in the community. You'll be a blessing to others, and you'll get your product cheaper too. So it's a no-brainer. I have no reservations about it.
That's awesome. Doug, this has been phenomenal, buddy. I appreciate you coming on with us to share your energy and to know that you and Sharon have created the kind of business that you can be with your children whenever you choose. That's a fringe benefit that I don't see on any corporate paper. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Well, thanks for being with us tonight. And please thank Sharon for continuing to be so committed and to be the evidence for you to join with her. And now you guys are one of our power couples. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Mr. Daigle, you want to take it off recording?